Hey guys and dolls, I'm your co-host Autumn.
And I'm Cymoine. We can't wait for you to meet all of the exciting guests and New Orleans creative artists.
So get comfy, chill, sit back, and prepare to enjoy culturally relevant and unique conversations from all the beautiful people in the city of New Orleans.
You hear all the cars that driving down the street and all the birds chirping?
Yes, and that lawn mowing, the construction, all that, girl.
Yes.
It's a little bit too much, so how about we head on inside?
I like that idea.
Let's go.
All right.
You know, Simone, you and I always stay camera ready.
You know it, girl. Pretty much every actor and actress stays ready too. I say this to say that the theater community in New Orleans is thriving, and we think we may have found one of the reasons why.
Joining us on this episode is James Bartel, a founding member of the NOLA Project. We're so happy to have you, James.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So please, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and the NOLA Project?
Sure. The NOLA Project is an ensemble-based theater company, so we do live theater here in New Orleans. And the ensemble-based part really just means it's like a collective of artists. So we have actors and directors and writers and lighting designers and costume designers and theater educators, and we all come together to produce live theater. And we're in our 19th season right now, and it's really what's kind of unique about us is that even though we do have some people in leadership positions to make sure that some practical aspects of the company are rolling, really the artistic decisions are made, you know, as a group, and so we all decide what shows to do together, and we all work on various aspects of each show together. And one thing that's fun is we don't have a theater venue of our own, so we have partnerships with different places throughout the city to present theater in really cool locations that maybe audiences aren't used to going to.
Please, James, share more about the upcoming production Shakespeare's Tempest Reimagined, presented in partnership with Bre Busby Greenway and the New Orleans Recreation Development Commission.
So Shakespeare's Tempest Reimagined is, it's going to be a lot of fun. It has elements of Shakespeare, obviously. It's basically, we took the play, which normally would be like a 3-hour play, and we condensed it into about an hour and a half. And so what we're presenting is going to be about 50% Shakespeare's words, and then I updated a lot of the text as well. So I rewrote a lot of it. And then it's going to have elements of dance in it. There's a dance company called Melange Dance Company, and their artistic director, Monica Ordonez, is going to create some kind of modern or contemporary dance pieces. And then it's also going to have a lot of live music as well. There are two musicians, Alexis Marceau and Stephen McDonald, who work with the band Sweet Crude, and they're writing original music for the show. And so it's going to be, I think, a little bit like a showcase of different art forms, still with this cohesive story of Shakespeare's Tempest. And we're presenting it in the Lafitte Greenway space, which is a nice kind of a combination indoor-outdoor space. It is covered, which is nice because in April and May, you know, it does tend to rain a lot, but there's a natural breeze that flows through it, and so it kind of the best of both worlds. And it will be a show for all ages of audiences, so we're hoping that it'll be a lot of people's first time experiencing a play, and certainly a lot of people who have been following us over the years, I think will be eager to come out and see it as well. there's something special about gathering together, and the actors get to feed off that energy of the audience, and the audience gets to see something, you know, right in front of them that's never been seen in that exact way before. And so, yeah, it's fun, and especially because we do theater for people of all ages. Sometimes you have little kids that come out and it's the first time that they're ever seeing theater, and just to see, you know, the look on their faces and to get to interact with them that way is really special.
Yes, I could imagine. So can you share a little bit more about the team of people that you work with to keep the company running? I know you mentioned a little bit earlier about the leadership role that you have and all those things. So can you talk more about that?
Sure. We are a collective of probably about 20 local people. And it's the company was started back in 2004, 2005, and it started as a concept by some theater students that were at New York University. One of them was from here and had always wanted to bring a theater company, you know, to his hometown of New Orleans. At that time, it was kind of a small group, and it was kind of like a lot of young white men, basically. And over the years, you know, over the last 19 years, we really have been working to be more of a direct reflection of the population of the city of New Orleans. So it has really diversified. The company has really diversified over the years, and that has been great, not only to, you know, to just have that representation on stage, but also the variety of stories that we're able to tell, you know, has grown, and it has really diversified. The company has really diversified over the years, and that has been great, not only to, you know, to just have that representation on stage, but also the variety of stories that we're able to tell, you know, has grown. And we have some of the best actors that I've ever seen on stage in my life, some of the best designers that I've ever seen. You know, we're really fortunate to have this group of people who are all in it together.
Yeah.
I think that, for better or for worse, this play was written in 1986, and the fact that it is still so resonant today, I think, indicates sort of the continuance of the struggles that African Americans have faced in the past and continue to face today.
There's an undeniable Blackness that seems to be a through line that goes back generations. And I think the play tapped into that in a lot of ways. And whether it's written in 1986, 1946, or 2046, I think that there are certain things that are universal about the African American experience, particularly that definitely resonates today.
My aunt was on the board or was friends with George C. Wolfe when he premiered it at the Crossroads Theater in New Brunswick, New Jersey. So I've known this show since I was like 12. It's been great to be able to finally do it, you know, I have the memory of reading it and having the memory of wanting to do it, but to be in a place to be able to do it and to get to be Aunt Ethel, which is this amazing homage to my mom and every woman of color who has ever been a caretaker. You know, it's been fantastic. It's been a dream come true.
We'd like to think it's pretty important. It's certainly important to us. We do our best to, employ as many artists as we can, bring them work in addition to bringing, these works to the community to provide work opportunities for artists in New Orleans. We do pride ourselves on, the fact that this show, for example, hired all local artists. Everyone is, local to New Orleans that worked on the Colored Museum. In addition to this great partnership that we had with the New Orleans African American Museum. So yeah, I mean, we'd like to think we're pretty important to the artist community here, We've been around for a long time. We have hired a lot of artists over the last almost 20 years. We're rounding out our 19th season right now, and we've employed thousands of artists over those years, and done our best to pay them and take care of them and just make sure they have opportunities to create and show their work off to the city of New Orleans.
How have the actors and actresses in New Orleans responded to projects like this?
This one was really a big hit with a lot of the audience. We did it at the New Orleans African American Museum, and it was fun because there are a lot of people who frequent that museum that maybe haven't gone out to see theater. A lot of people said it was maybe their first time seeing theater in New Orleans. And then there were a lot of people who were used to going to see theater that didn't necessarily visit that museum before. And so we had this nice crossover of this different population. And the show was done in different parts of the museum, and so it really kind of showcased the beauty of that museum.
So how do you hope the people of New Orleans and all the people who come to visit our city to engage and support you guys, how do they find you and connect with everyone?
Sure. So they typically find us either via Instagram. They find us, there's different websites you can go to see like what's happening in New Orleans right now. Like my first show that I did here was in 2006, and it was about 9 months after Katrina, and we did this play out on the beach of Lake Pontchartrain. And it was one of the first shows that happened after Katrina, and it was kind of a story about Katrina, but it was a comedy, and people weren't really expecting that. And they would come out and they would bring little coolers of beer and crawfish, and it was one of the first kind of communal experiences that people were able to find after the storm, when so many things were still shut down or so many people were still displaced. And so I think even from those early days, being able to go to a place that wasn't necessarily like a theater, but to do theater outside, and to realize that theater is not about where you do it, but it's about the people that you do it with, both the artists and the audience.
Wow, that is so powerful. I love to hear that you guys are able to really make some positive change during such a hard time like Katrina. So what are your personal point of views of how you experience the city of New Orleans on stage and outside in the world?
Sure. I think that New Orleans is, first and foremost, is so unique. I don't know that there is any other city quite like it, and I think that a big part of that is just how it's been a cultural crossroads, over the centuries, that there's so many different influences of different kind of cultures here, and that it still is like that in a lot of ways, that people find themselves passing through New Orleans and they find like, I met this one man the other day and he said, I have been here on a long weekend since 1979. And I think that there is something about the city's uniqueness and the energy of the city here that really, it pulls people in. And I myself, I grew up in the military. Both my parents were in the military, and I lived in about 20 different cities. But this was the only city I ever came to and then left and felt homesick for. And so I think that there's just something so magical and unique and special about New Orleans. And I think that that's reflected in the music. I think it's reflected in the food. I think it's reflected in the theater. I think that it is, first and foremost, it's like embodied by the population of New Orleans, that they themselves are, the people here are so unique and so welcoming, and have that kind of raw magic that you don't see everywhere that you go.
That is so true. They put a spell on me. I passed the spell on to my family. They put magic onto them. Now that I was calling, can we come back to New Orleans? We know you all watching are enjoying the opportunity to learn points that don't disappoint.
We really appreciate you, so tell a friend and share, and don't forget to hit that notification button. Please follow us on all social media platforms for more great stories. Until next time.